This movie is a movie that I have been looking forward to for a couple of years, since they announced it. It comes out next week. Today, I'll be talking about the trailers and, basically just a bunch of other stuff about War of the Rohirrim. I'm the Walrus Jedi, and welcome to Walrus Jedi Talks Pop Culture. If you enjoy today's video, then consider liking and subscribing and hitting the notification bell for more, as next week I will be doing a review of War of the Rohirrim. There's spoilers onto the trailer. We'll start with the trailer, I guess you could call it the American trailer. Well, in my opinion, they cheat, as they're using scenes from the Peter Jackson trilogy, music, Howard Shore's score, and all that stuff. They're cheating, quite frankly. They're making you feel something like, oh man, those movies are so good, so maybe this movie, well, quite frankly, it makes you want to go watch The Lord of the Rings, so that's not a bad thing. But yeah, when we actually get to footage of the movie, well, you'll see that it's animated. It's not live action, so it's a little weird to see the live action shots and then it cuts to the animated stuff. So weird choice. Yeah, I'm not the biggest anime fan. I guess you could say I've dabbled, but nothing major. I mean, would you count the Pokemon show? The Pokemon. Yeah, it's an anime. I've heard it referred to as a. Does that count? I've seen the first season of Vinland Saga on Netflix, and does Blood of Zeus count? That counts. That's all the anime I've seen. So I'm not the best judge on anime. I have seen the Star Wars Visions, that anime. I think the animation looks fine, in terms of anime. It's like, well, at least I think the animation's decent. I don't find it ugly. So that's good. Let's get to the trailer. So this movie is an interesting choice, as what it's adapting is a couple pages from the appendices in The Lord of the Rings. The actual section on Helm Hammerhand and that story, it's only about a little over 2 pages, I believe. So there's not a whole lot there. It focuses a lot on his daughter, who in the text, well, we'll get to the text, but yeah, she doesn't even have a name in the text. If she was that important of a character, she would have been given a name and would have been fleshed out more. But to see bits and bobs of Rohan, see them on horses and stuff like that. I will say the little bits and bobs of Helm Hammerhand in the trailers I like. Where Freka comes in. That's the fat guy that comes and basically is like, hey, my son's going to marry your daughter. And Helm says no, and then they step outside and they fight, and Helm kills him, as you see in the trailer, with his bare hand. There's a reason why he's called Helm Hammerhand. That leads to war, but it's weird because there's elephants in the trailer and there isn't elephants in the story. I'm confused as to why there's elephants. There's giant eagles. There's even the Watcher, the octopus thing that was in front of Moria in the movie. At least I think it's the Watcher. A lot of weird choices in this trailer. And at the very end of the trailer, I presume it's an orc picking up rings, and he's like, oh, what does Mordor want with rings? So why are we tying that in? That has nothing to do with the Helm Hammerhand story. That is very disappointing if they're going to tie that in and have some stupid orc plot line. That's kind of the trailer. Helm Hammerhand is awesome. You could say, oh, well, yeah, the trailer might focus on his daughter, but make sure you watch the movie. But from the trailer is focusing on his daughter, and if she wasn't an important character or the main character in the movie, why would they focus so much on her in the trailer? That doesn't make sense. That's just my thoughts on that. Let's get to some other stuff. So the Japanese trailer that they released at the same time as the main trailer, it's the same thing. It's got clips from the movie, relies on the music, and then it actually does have different scenes though, which is interesting. But I think the most interesting thing from the Japanese trailer is we see Saruman in it. There's a few shots of Saruman in it, which is like, that's interesting. And I have heard that They do use Christopher Lee's voice in the movie, but it's like archive recordings or whatever's. I'm interested to see that. That could be interesting. And, they've released TV spots. There's an extended scene that's like 8 minutes. We're not going to go over that here. All right, let's get to the text. What we can find of any mention of Helm's daughter, who they have named in the movie Hera. To one of these councils Fricka rode with many men, and he asked the hand of Helm's daughter for his son Wolf. But Helm said, "You have grown big since you were last here, but it is mostly fat, I guess." And men laughed at that, for Fricka was wide in the belt. That's the only mention of Helm's daughter. She literally gets a passing mention, and that's it. The story really doesn't have a lot there. It's basically, you have Helm, a king of Rohan. One day, a Dunlending named Fricka comes and says, "Hey, your daughter and my son are going to get married." And Helm says no. He calls him fat, and they step out, and Helm kills him and declares the Dunlendings enemies. And then a winter happens, a nasty winter, that what's called the Long Winter, and causes a bunch of people to starve and die. The Rohirrim have to retreat to what will become Helm's Deep. Helm, one of his sons, was killed in their retreat as Wolf took Edoras. And the length of the winter caused more famine, and Helm Hammerhand would go out every night sounding his horn and just going out and attacking Dunlendings with his bare hands. He'd do that every night, unarmed, until one night his horn was heard, but he did not return. And in the morning, they went out, and on a dike they found a frozen white figure there, and they went to the figure, and it was Helm Hammerhand. He was dead. Dunlendings wouldn't even approach Helm. Then Helm's nephew, Freylaf, took a party of men and surprised the Dunlendings and took back Edoras. Then they buried Helm in a mound. And that's kind of the story. I may have missed a detail or two, but it doesn't have a whole lot. I do think there is enough that if you make Helm the main character, yeah, you would have to flesh out a few things, but that's okay. It's obvious things, like you could show some conflict that isn't necessarily given in detail in the book. But all right, well, you've heard me talk about this long enough right now. So I don't have a whole lot to say right now until I see the movie. So let me know what you think of this movie in the comments down below. Are you excited for it? We'll see what happens. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And until next time, thanks for watching.